All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back again. We took a week off, but here we are, the landing pod, where Shonen Jump and many great anime come to land to be discussed and explored. So, today we're going to start it off by Under the Radar, as always, Alderamin in the Sky. Now, there's a lot to talk about, but first thing that we have to point out is pretty much the most obvious thing is that the MC is probably one of the best MCs in anime, if you ask me. I mean, you can ask anyone, but it's one of the best MCs, for sure. And basically, the whole idea is that this man's very, very smart. And not particularly strong, but he's very smart, and he uses intellect to get his way throughout battle and all of these other things. But basically, there's two main things of him. He's smart and he's lazy. Well, he uses his intellect to be as lazy as possible, which, honestly, I fuck with. I think that's hilarious. And basically, yeah, what he does is he comes to become the lazy general later on. Like, they lore that in the story. They're like, oh yeah, they talk about him like as a narrator, like, oh, that's why Sir Lorik becomes the lazy general and all of these things. And yeah, man, he goes crazy. And you watched it pretty recently. So you ever?
Yeah, it's so. First of all, smart but not strong. As far as we know, he's just human. Like, if a bullet hits him, he's dead. Like, there's not a lot of. There are sort of spirit-like things called the Alderamin. Obviously, it's in the title, but they seem to have little, small powers they contribute, like light or little fireballs. Things. And they get used for energy, and sometimes not the best ways. But it's not a show where you'll see a lot of overpowered characters. There is one, so to speak, but it's through their sheer skill. Yeah,
their family training and bloodline.
Exactly. He is great through sheer intellect. He'd be great at shogi, he'd be great at chess. That's what makes him a great general. And he uses that intellect and his love of logic and science in a little bit different context, but essentially science in the same way, where it's like expanding technology, expanding your understanding of things in a rational way.
Right, applying science to a battlefield to because basically, he doesn't really fuck with the whole let's stand in a line and see who goes down first. He's like, let's implement guerrilla warfare and all these other things, because he lives in a very primitive based society in the sense that they don't really believe in science. They're just religion and ethics and this is how you do things and blah, blah, blah. And he kind of tries to take the more tactical approach, where it's why would we set ourselves up for failure when we can win if we just apply these scientific properties and even rhythms.
Exactly. And even ethics is not really based, it's based on basically what gets the specific their kingdom or their enemy's kingdom to their intended goal of conquest, etc. It's not ethics in the sense
honor. They want honor, quote unquote.
Yes, essentially. Meaning a specific style of fighting, but that doesn't mean that they don't do underhanded things in other ways.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's his view of ethics is more just using, tactics, using rationale, whether they're seen as, not honorable war tactics, whatever, keeping people alive. His values are different. They're more rational and ultimately more ethical, because they're really thought through. And it's nice because it's fleshed out in the sense that he's a thoughtful character. He wants to be lazy, but even his laziness is kind of tied to the era. He's still not lazy compared to some people. Right. But it's
he just wants to get things done the most efficient way possible. And that's kind of his idea. Why work harder when you can just work smarter?
Yeah, exactly. The values that apply to today in a sense.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely in plenty of ways.
Tons of extra work for the sake of doing tons of extra work. Do what work you have to do to get the task accomplished.
Exactly. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Is getting it accomplished, not how you get it accomplished necessarily. As long as you're not doing it in a bad way. There's just obviously extenuating circumstances. But the point is he uses his intellect to get these things done. And you come into a situation where they're talking about it in a classroom per se. And he starts relating the battlefield to a game of chess. And he's saying if you have a strategy going into chess, you can pretty much win in any circumstance.
Yeah, you can't will your way through it. I mean, not generally.
Yeah. So it's he puts down these values, and obviously, the teacher's not fucking with it, yada yada. But he and then he starts putting these applications down into real practice, where you start to see him do what is it, a sparring, not sparring,
battle training, it's battle simulation.
Yeah, battle simulation. Yeah, they do that, and they kind of go against another classroom, and they don't kill each other, but they they do a simulation of sorts, and then you see him go into real war and how he applies those things, and you can kind of just see him as a character, not only have to deal with it in a real life circumstance, but also get things done, like how he is like he does what he preaches. He actually does what he was saying in that classroom, where he's like, I'm going to use these strategies to win. And I mean,
and he kind of stumbles into this all. It's like he doesn't really want to deal with anything, but his teacher will be teaching a very outdated method, so to speak, and he'll just feel compelled to speak up because he's like, that's just not correct what you're saying. And that he kind of stumbles his way through, because even though he's a genius, his plan isn't to get involved with all this.
No, so he doesn't want to.
He
really
just keeps getting people that notice his talent and notice that, someone will say something blatantly wrong, he'll correct them, and then they'll be like, hey, this guy might know a little something. And then it escalates from there, and he keeps getting kind of put into higher positions, especially after he stumbles into saving basically the princess.
Getting results.
Yeah, getting results, exactly. So because his intellect, his thought process yields results, he kind of unwittingly becomes involved in this conflict that his error is seeped in.
Yeah, exactly. This whole all of these societies, they're just warring factions, basically. They're, at least from what we know. I mean, there might be some peaceful ones, but, he's just caught up in the middle of it. And yeah, it's pretty unique, because I think this anime, the way everything's structured, everything's sequenced, it's just non-traditional, like how things go down. It just seems like they, I don't know, it just doesn't seem like a lot of other anime I've watched when I was watching it.
I'm just surprised that their spirit, so to speak, and they don't, for now, take center stage instantly. There's things where they're used, to develop weapons, but it's like there's established that there's these spirits, and they get used to enhance technology and do things, the people partner with them, and in some instances the country kind of uses them unethically to develop their weapons and etc. But basically you have these spirits, and you expect it to just kind of center around that, the name of the show and everything, but it's actually centered around the strategic conflicts,
exactly.
Ita and the rest of his companions, because it's
not like, light Alderamin, go, and let's fight between.
He
it's not like that.
Start overpowering.
Yeah, it's not a matter of that.
Now he does have his companion that does, she's just crazy with her dual
she
swords.
kicks ass, fucking kind of Urza vibes, not gonna lie. If you watch Fairy Tail, you can kind of draw some parallels.
Yeah, a little bit for sure. And she powers through a lot of people, but he knows how to use, like in chess, you use your queen differently than you use your pawn, and that's his queen, so to speak, his best piece. And they depend on each other. He can't win certain battles without her tremendous strength, especially because they're outnumbered, and she can't win without his great strategy. She's pretty smarter than most. Yeah. But he's the one that can really think ahead. He
puts her into play.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, he really gets things moving. And man, the only sad part about this anime is that it's not probably going to get a second season, which, I mean, that'll turn a lot of people off. But if you've ever seen Madhouse, I mean, they do complete some things, but they also will make great. Pretty much every anime they make is great, and they don't always finish them. Same thing happened with No Game No Life, and et cetera, et cetera. So it's been like 5 or 6 years. It's probably even been longer than that now. Honestly, it's been a long time, and it hasn't got a second season, and it probably won't. But it's still a great first season, and still should be watched. And if you wanted to know what happens, you can read the manga or the light novels. They exist. I still need to do that, but so I mean, don't be strayed away from it because it doesn't have a second season. Just watch it, enjoy it, and then dive into the fucking written material if you want to.
And it's kind of not similar to what's going on, but it's apropos for the era we're in, where you have incompetent leadership across the world, people that are starting conflicts that don't need to be started for their own personal gain. People that are self-interested, and then you have the people underneath looking at this and being like, what are these people doing?
There's not a lot of logic in it.
There's all of it's just unnecessary. It has those kind of themes of corrupt leadership, so to speak. And trying to
getting
change that.
Caught into a war that you don't want to be a part of.
Exactly.
All of these things, and it kind of goes into a little bit of the psychology there, and also kind of the hardships too. It shows you a little bit of that. So it's well rounded. It's unique. I think the he's literally one of my favorite MCs and favorite characters of all time for sure. And he did that within like 13 episodes. So I mean, it's a good watch, and it's something I would fucking recommend, obviously, to anyone. And I think if you watch it, you probably will recommend it too. So give it a shot. Okay. Anyways, that is Under the Radar. Not much really more to cover there. Like I said, only 13 episodes. Talk too much about it, you're going to talk about the whole thing. But we do have some things today. We're going to go over a few different Isekai. This is pretty much going to be Isekai, general, Isekai themed podcast. And well, we're going to start with the first one we ever watched, which would be Rising of Shield Hero. So it's a pretty new one. I think it came out in 2020. It's the first Isekai we watched, and it's basically this dude opens up a book in a library, and he gets traveled into like an RPG game. Basically, it's not like literally a game, but it's set up like an RPG. Like it has a lot of the power ups, has a lot of the like the interfaces. It has a lot of like a kind of like XP system almost from killing people. Like it has pretty much all of your RPG elements without literally being an RPG. It's just like another world.
It is basically a developed, polished sort of isekai that's, meant for, to bring new fans into the genre, but also to be a, good standing representation of the genre, like for modern times, because there's a lot of people, most of essentially the one most people watched first was Sword Art.
Yeah.
And you have, some people read Mushoku Tensei, that obviously, anime wise came out pretty recently. And, we watched that first season, but there's been a long-standing, degree of light novels of anime that are in this genre, but this has kind of been one that, it came out recently, and I wasn't actually looking forward to it, to be honest, because I had heard about the premise.
Yeah. Well, you hadn't watched any Isekai yet.
Yeah. So it's like, I'd heard about the premise. I mean, I'd read enough about what I knew. I was aware of what isekai were, of course, and just kind of feeling like there's still, even not having watched a lot, not being super experienced at the time with isekai, feeling like it's not a particularly original concept, which in a sense it isn't, because there's a lot of isekai, a lot of ones where people get transported into a video game, a lot of ones where they get transported, and then have menu screen style RPG elements. But unrelated to the genre, I just didn't find the premise interesting, or like, I didn't like the thought like, oh, he's going to get accused of some stuff and we're going to have to deal with all that.
Yeah, you're a hater, for sure.
No, but it was just like, I just didn't think that was something I was going to enjoy. I thought it sounded frustrating. It sounded like, he's going to have to be dealing with this for, a considerable amount of time, but it didn't really pan out that way. I like the character didn't just kind of take it on the chin and run away.
No, you can't. You can't ever, fucking underestimate the power of anime, man. Like
there's some that are, what I expect, and then for better and worse. Sometimes we expected the new season, the newest arc of Demon Slayer, to be off the chain animation wise, and it was.
Yeah.
You can have expectations, but I would say this was one of the few actually that, subverted my expectations, because it's just getting kind of an overview of it, comparison to other ones, even though I hadn't like really immersed myself in other ones. But it's, I just thought that premise would almost be like, oh, he's accused of doing something lewd, like Gray, like what?
Yeah, this bitch tried saying that it came out literally at the time of Me Too's peak,
and I don't think you could even say that on YouTube, like that word.
Me Too.
But
no. Well, whatever.
Yeah. Well, so if this was bigger, then I might get taken down. I have no idea.
Nah.
However, YouTube's pretty strict. But but the point is, I didn't really want to see something about that. Like, oh, it's just gonna be so annoying. But because he kind of said like, oh, okay, you want to accuse me? Go to hell. Like, your whole kingdom, you want to believe
like,
her?
In a situation where there's been, in fucking media, so many times someone bows to it, they're like, oh, I'm in this situation, they start feeling sorry for themselves, blah, 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 and they just kind of have this internal dialogue of like, fuck, how am I going to get out of this? He said, oh, yeah? Fuck you then. I don't care about you. I don't care about this world. I didn't even ask to be here. Y'all could get slapped in the fucking face for all I care. Like, I'll go do me. You don't want me here? I'm gone. Fuck y'all. And that was the most satisfying shit ever. Because, like, you once in that moment when she was doing all that snarky bullshit, all that lying shit, you thought, oh, she's done. Like, he's done. He's like, he's going to have to deal with this shit. He's out of there.
Yeah,
but,
I thought
but
that
then,
was the main
boom!
plot. Yeah,
and it was so nice.
Yeah.
I was like, yes.
Yeah, and that's exactly why. Like, if that was the main villain, the main plot of the show, I just wouldn't want to see that.
Yeah, it'd suck. But
and that's my point. But because it was done so well, the way they just kind of subvert your expectations like that, or at least mine. I was very pleasantly surprised. I knew it looked clean. I knew it,
Well,
but
part of it that I loved so much was that it kind of connected to like what my younger teen self would have reacted. Like that would have been my fucking reaction as a young teen, and he's obviously a teen in the show. So like I could kind of relate to that. Like that's exactly how I would have been. I would be like, you know what? Fuck it. Fuck all of you. I don't give a fuck what you think. And like so like it just kind of itched that point where it's like, yes, dude, I love to see that. I never saw something like that in media or in anime or anything. And I was like, when I saw that reaction, I was like, that's fire. Like that is just something not only that you could kind of relate to if you were kind of like that as a kid, but also like, yo, like they just didn't go the frustrating route. They just completely 360'd it and then made him a flexor who just kind of went a little dark, but also still had a heart. And it set the tone for the show to be just way more exciting and way more interesting than
and not everyone would respond that way, but a lot of people should.
That is the fucking response. Fuck those people. There's no reason to feel sorry for them.
I would not just be like, no, guys, please believe me. Like, when you see characters do that, sometimes it's just like,
why are you appealing to these shitty people?
And that's why it's like, you can just feel, you just feel frustrated for that. Almost like, what are we doing here? Like, just smack them. Like, do something. Like, don't just
throw up
let
some
this
hands.
happen.
Fuck it. Fight till the bitter end type shit.
And he did show that kind of attitude.
Yeah.
So it was
and it worked.
Exactly. And then later on, he kind of gets back at some of the people that were like, oh, yeah, she was telling me the truth, including her.
Yeah, exactly. No, he gets back at her. And he doesn't kill these fucking people, but he's just like, hey.
They get exposed first.
Yeah, he exposes them. He puts them on trial. Instead of killing them, he's like, you know what? No, we're just going to demean them. And he just changes the girl's name to bitch and the dude's name to like, I think it was like coward or some shit. I can't remember what his was.
Yeah, because one of the other heroes, so to speak, just, was siding with her the whole time.
Yeah.
And they do more heinous stuff. It's not even just that lie that she gets in trouble for. She keeps trying to attack him.
Oh yeah, she's a little bitch, and it keeps failing, and it's pretty funny.
Exactly.
But yeah, so like basically all that goes down.
And he's overpowered somewhat, but he's not one of those that starts just completely destroys everything. He learns how to utilize his specific power in a way that others didn't realize it could be used.
Yeah, like the secret of like the shield, like he just like. Yeah, he has like a rage mode. He has a bunch of different abilities that he can unlock. He unlocks a bunch of abilities, obviously. He unlocks like the fucking Iron Maiden thing that like absorbed like I don't know, wasn't like a huge beast. He puts it in and like fucking crushes it. Yeah. He does a bunch of shit.
Yeah,
like
he really starts to maximize what the shield hero can do. And you do see other anime where other isekai specifically too, where the power they have isn't expected to be as strong and it ends up being the strongest by a lot. And that's, a little bit of a trope before it's becoming double the trope now.
Yeah.
But I would definitely say if people have either seen Isekai, don't care for Isekai, watch this one anyway, and just, even if you're expecting, what it's going to be about from the get-go. It doesn't, surprise you with the plot. Oh, another one. He's got the menu screen. It's an RPG. I grew up playing RPG, so I just kind of like that sort of thing.
That was dope to me. I was like, damn.
But it's actually a really worthwhile one. It's really well done. It's not just a polished, new, crappy, same plot. No, it's actually a well-written plot. Yeah,
it is. And it's very interesting because we don't really know a whole lot about the world. There's other people from different worlds, but they're from like different types of Japan. They're not from his Japan. Like, so he's like, it's kind of multi-dimensional in a way.
Yeah, we got to find out more about that because we haven't read forward.
Yeah, and there seems to be people used from other worlds to fight this world, and they need to win in this world, so their world isn't destroyed.
Yeah, initially,
it's all types of shit going on.
He gets roped in. They finally realize that he's, a hero. They need him. He's like their strongest one. And so when they get to one of the big battles, he starts to find out that, oh wait, some of these other people he's fighting, there's other heroes from different generations. So because at first, or different dimensions, so to speak.
Yeah.
He learns that, and it's like, wait a minute, like, I'm fighting these people. One of our worlds could get destroyed. Like, we don't even know the depths of it yet.
Yeah, it's like, so if I win, is their world destroyed? Like, how does this work? Do I want to do that? I don't even fuck with this world type shit. Like, there's so many things that he has to consider. And it's interesting because I don't really know any Isekai specifically structured like that, where it's like they're different worlds fighting against each other.
No, not even like watching so many more, because... Like, yeah, when you said that, it's like, oh, like, that's the first one we really, like, sat down to watch. It's like, makes it sound like we haven't seen a bunch, but now we've seen a bunch. So it's like,
shit ton.
Even going backwards.
Oh, right,
and
right,
knowing that wasn't... Like, some people think, everything that comes after the first thing they saw is, less original than the first thing we saw. But we already knew that it was, like, playing on older things that have already been done. But even watching watching some of the older written and even older created... Isekai sense, it's still, if you care about details, nuances, etc., it actually has a pretty original premise. And not the premise of him being transported to another world, but the kingdom, the way they treat him, and the way he responds to it.
The world's unique. That's the thing
that people.
The world is like in Isekai, the world is usually a huge character in itself, where it's like so many developments and so many different nuanced details. Like, and all the worlds are very unique. Well, not all of them, but like a lot of them are very unique, and that's something that I think Shield Hero obviously has. It's a very unique world where things just kind of, it kind of wraps you in real quickly. Like, at least. So I think, it's definitely a fucking good watch, and a lot of shit goes on. And if you've watched it, you obviously know what the fuck we've been talking about, because, you've watched it. So that's that. But anyway, so enough of Shield Hero. We're gonna move to, honestly, it's hard to say what my favorite isekai is. No Game No Life might be quote unquote higher on my list, but honestly, there's not much that I can say that I love more than like Slime, dude. Like, fucking Slime hits a part of me that I'm just like, God damn, bro, it's good. And it's the only anime I've rewatched. Like, I've watched it by myself, and I rewatched it with you because I was like, dude, this anime is so much fun. And if I don't watch it again, well, I mean, why not watch it again right now? It's the perfect time,
It is a ton of fun. Like, just there's so many hype moments, but there's also it's an interesting, unique premise from the get-go. Even beforehand, like before seeing this one, I was kind of like, all right, I know this one will be good. I've heard it's great. With the slime thing, okay, how's that going to pan out? Pans out in a very interesting way. He can absorb powers. He can, yes, it is another, obviously, reincarnation one.
Which is a little bit different than just getting transported to it.
It is. Although now that's become its own subgenre.
Yeah.
But I would say that, Slime is the peak of that branch of
Reincarnating,
you could say.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would hate I'd hate people to see that and be like, oh, it just sounds unoriginal, because the characters, they do a great job of developing the characters, the world building, the way Rimuru builds kind of his own clique, his own group.
His own fucking nation. It starts off as a town. Well, it starts off as a little village. Then it's a town. Then it's like a city. And now it's like a fucking nation. He's just been going off the charts. And but anyway, to get back to the beginning, it's just he gets fucking stabbed in his world. He obviously, you see that and you're like, well, I mean,
saving someone. So
saving someone.
You could say, if you want to go that route, good karma. He doesn't care much about, like, it's not quite like Mushoku Tensei, where the guy is...
Yeah, he's a coward.
Yeah, exactly. He's a coward. He wants kind of a second chance. This is like, he hasn't done much with his life, but like he, hasn't found love, hasn't done whatever, but he's a very good person. Yeah. And then he goes and he jumps in front of someone and gets killed. Yeah,
he gets killed, and we still don't know what's on his computer.
he deleted it, I think.
No, they had to throw it in a tub. He was like, you have to destroy my fucking computer, my hard drive.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of that.
It's like, oh, what's on there? Probably some fucking, some sus stuff. But, so anyway, he gets transported to the world. Instantly, first thing that we notice is, obviously, we watched it in dub. We noticed it as Wendy's voice actor from Fairy Tail. Yeah. Because it's unavoidable. There's nothing else you can picture if you've seen Fairy Tail.
Walking by, like, when you're watching it, like, hearing you watch it, I'm like, oh, that's clearly Wendy. Like, how does that work with, like, a, even a, ambiguous, like, he's a guy that gets reincarnated into a slime and then gets kind of a human form, but technically, like, I think of him as a guy because that's what he was.
Yeah, that's
before.
what his spirit
but
is.
But he basically doesn't have a gender because he's a slime.
Yeah, in this world, he's kind of genderless, but obviously he has the spirit of a dude because that's still his same spirit.
Yeah, so he's just used to being that.
It's kind of like a female body
that
he morphed off of.
Exactly, but like partially female body because he doesn't have.
It's based off a female body. It doesn't have the
look. And so he's totally androgynous, but despite that, it's I'm still just like, how can that's Wendy, like a young girl sort of voice.
It is.
How is that going to fit like essentially what's more or less a male character, but a kind of an androgynous character, whichever if someone wants to think of it as a girl now, that's fine too, whatever. But
I've heard people say, "Oh, Rimuru was so hot." Like,
so it's like regardless of gender, wow.
Yeah.
But you walk by and I'm kind of like, how's that gonna fit? But once I started watching it, like first episode, I'm like, I see it now. And granted, a lot of people are going to be watching it in sub, and we saw some of it in sub, obviously.
Yeah, but, yes, we have.
The voice actor works either way. You don't get the sense listening to either voice that's like, it's not the same character. It sounds they just kind of nail it. Basically.
On both sides. It's very well voice acted, and and I think one of the reasons why the voice works so well is because specifically in dub how we watched it was that like the comedy, which I'm surprised. Usually Japanese voices are better for comedy, but in the English version, the comedy just like kind of set the mood right away, where it was like
they did a really good job.
Like it's like it's just like this funny little goofy slide with like this giant dragon Veldora. They become friends, and just everything just kind of just fits. It feels like natural in a way.
And then the way he comes back, later is just a ball of fun.
Yeah,
and you get like they make references to games, other anime, but the characters read it, one in their previous life, one in the current life. Basically, so it kind of fits. They don't just borrow references. No reason.
Where he brought in references from his world,
exactly,
and they're implementing it to it. Where like fucking like when you did that fucking Kamehameha, like that shit was fucking gas. Like
and
that,
it's well animated for no reason.
Yeah, super well animated. I was fucking, I laughed my ass off watching that shit. Like, cause like as a big Dragon Ball fan, like obviously you see someone reference that. Obviously, and dude, so many fucking anime reference Dragon Ball. It's just like
and even 100 times more were inspired by it.
It's fucking insane.
It's legendary, obviously, but and the Street Fighter,
yes, Hadouken,
it's a lot of fun to see.
Dude, Veldora is one of the funniest fucking characters, dude.
Yeah,
he goes off, and not only does he go off, but he doesn't give a fuck. Like he just like this goofy fucking like just
super
like
powerful.
Like he just doesn't even really like take like. When Rimuru is shocked by his powers, because he just kind of nonchalantly is like very strong. He's just like
it's just funny because he just happens to be the first person that Rimuru meets and kind of is the
it's his
basis.
homie. Well, he's lonely as fuck. He's in that cave and he's not doing anything.
Sealed in a cave, basically.
That's the thing. He's not doing shit. And then next thing you know, fucking Rimuru's like, "Well, let me just like try to eat you."
Yeah, and the surprising thing to me is it's like when they. When you have the kind of, I believe it's one of the holy groups or whatever do, some
it's like the West Church or some shit.
Yeah, and it's like part of, I'm not sure, I think it was one of the kingdoms, they were kind of like in league with them, but like one of the kingdoms that like attacks Rimuru's town, attacks their village, they do like awful, they kill Shion even, temporarily.
Yes.
But
they killed a bunch of people, kids, I think too. Goblin kids.
They killed really innocent people.
Mm-hmm.
You almost expect that's where the show takes a little bit of a darker tone, and it's like, wow, like you almost expect it's like, everything's gonna work out, and it does, but they get their comeuppance. Like they get. To become a demon lord, Rimuru has to absorb the energy of like 10,000 people.
I think it was either 10 or 20. It was one of the two.
and it was kind of like, you can't do that. But meanwhile, there's this army that just like attacked Rimuru's town. They were just for like political maneuvering. They're minding their own business. They're doing nothing wrong.
Yeah, they wanted to basically get them out of the trade system because they were starting to take power from them because they were doing so good in trade, and they were a little bit closer than they were to certain nations.
It'd be like, oh, your free market is designed well and is succeeding. Let's take over you and kill some of your children, your women.
Oh, they're trying to be a monopoly, and they did it by trying to just be like, oh, we're going to fuck you up, and then we're going to say you attacked us, and you were unreasonable, and we retaliated back. Conniving.
Yeah, so it's like when Rimuru kind of puts forth like the ultimate flex, like, all right, I'm going to show you what I can do. I'm not going to spare any.
Nope. He said, you know what? Y'all want to fucking kill my people? All right, I'm taking out your whole fucking army.
And then once, he became a demon lord, then he was able to resurrect.
He was able to fucking commence some type of ritual spell thing, and luckily so, because they had those barriers locking in their souls, and if they didn't have those barriers up, the souls would just went willy-nilly and disappeared. It was very just perfectly aligned, like the stars aligned, and he was able to do it. But like the whole him getting to that point, like going to fuck up that army, killing that stupid little fucking king who tries to like reason with Rimuru, don't murder me. I can give you money, whatever you want, power. And he still tried acting above Rimuru when Rimuru was literally flying above him, and like he's like, you know what, and then just like. Fucking dead. And that is like literally the best comeuppance you can get, because those people were irredeemable.
Yeah, exactly.
And you could tell by how they handled things that they are, and they didn't have to do that. No. That's the fucking crazy part. They could have just been like, oh well, fuck it, we can just like, if they would have tried to talk to Rimuru would have reasoned with them, worked with them, and probably figured out something. Easily. But they just were like, they're monsters, they're uncivilized, let's go kill them. It's like, bro, fuck you, don't judge a book by its cover. Since you did judge a book by its cover, now you people are fucking dead.
And it's not, we're not in medieval times, but it's not that far removed from the psychology of people in power. Like,
a lot of these Isekai are kind of like medieval times.
And like, to be fair, like, there's, not to get into specifics, but there's a lot of outdated thinking in our current day power structures. Old people, there's forward-thinking people of any age, but still, there's a lot of really old school, not in a good way, thinking people that will make decisions based on their own preconceived notions. So if we had a monster town in this, this world, you'd have world powers conglomerating to look at them as a threat, and even if they negotiate, it'd be like, oh, well, do they have resources on their land that we can exploit? What story can we craft to make them look bad so we can kill them and pillage?
And then it makes them look good. Yeah, they destroyed these monsters. And all of these things. It's all this bullshit.
Propaganda would be flooded. Like that's sorry, that's what we would do. Like that's what, not like us, but that's like what. Our leaders would do.
Especially back in the day. Because there's not fucking phones to record everything. Yeah. You know what I mean? They get away with so much more because there's no way to document that it didn't happen that way if everyone's fucking dead.
They can, and I still wouldn't put it past them to try through a, detailed misinformation machine. Just put out so much propaganda. No, this, that, they're actually killing civilians. That goes on nowadays. This place is, they're gonna use chemical weapons. They did, they won't. Everyone's kind of putting out their own propaganda nation-wise. We do that same thing. Our leaders would. Not regular people. Even countries that we aren't getting along with. It's not the people doing it. It's the leaders. Right. So it's like, just like here, the people in power would, they'd likely do a similar thing. So to see in the context of a show, them get their comeuppance, and there's no going back from that. You can't finagle your way out. Like, oh wait, I can give you killed my people. Go to hell.
Yeah, well the thing is, in this world, it's like we have someone like Rimuru who has a shit ton of spells, a shit ton of power, has the way to knock out 20,000 people in the blink of a fucking eye. Yeah. Like in this world, like, oh, they haven't seen anything like Rimuru really, because like the demon lords are alive and they do their things and they fuck around, but they haven't really seen someone like Rimuru who just like doesn't play by any rules. He's like, look, I'll do what the fuck. Like, if you fuck with me, I'm gonna do what the fuck I want. Like,
and
he's not on a political agenda.
Into it with anyone else yet, or we've established that there's a couple other people potentially from another world too.
Otherworlders and shit. There's obviously lore.
Yes, with that. Probably one of the holy people.
There's different ways to get there, but no one's got reincarnated as far as we know. That's a unique thing.
As far as we know,
there's summons where that was Was it Shion? No, not Shion.
No,
Fuck. No, wrong
some of
name.
the kids were.
What the fuck was her name? That other bitch.
There's Hinata, and then there's the girl that Hinata was
that the
trying
fucking...
to avenge. Hinata was the church girl. The other
Right.
girl was the
I forgot the
girl
other one. That's the one I'm trying to think about. The one that died.
The one that Rimuru took her.
I forgot what the heck her name was. I don't know why. She wasn't around for that long. That's a problem. But she made an impact, but she was really around for like a couple episodes. But anyway, she was a summon. And kind of like you kind of figure that out early on from like Eldora that summons exist.
We don't know exactly for sure, but it seems like summons are a tier above, regular beings, and reincarnation seems to be the highest one.
Yes,
at least from what we can see.
Yeah, from like regular beings, excluding obviously things that aren't regular, like demon lords and we don't know, dragons.
And we don't know the past of some of the other demon lords. We know Maline's one of the first ones, or the first.
No, the first.
Yeah,
the first demon lord. She's actually she was birthed from a dragon and something else, I think.
Yeah, and supposedly Peldor's like her uncle or something.
Yeah, Peldor's the uncle.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So
dragons that means dragons were around before the demons.
Yeah.
Which
so it's like, but also, Rimuru wasn't necessarily as strong as the demon lord, and then became as strong as the demon lord, and stronger.
Yeah, well, yeah.
A demon lord.
A demon lord who's not just a demon lord.
Evolve.
They didn't even know that he went through the ceremony. Like when he was in that fucking like little council.
True, he was already an evolved.
Literally a demon lord, not a clay, self-proclaimed. He was literally went through the ceremony.
Yeah. They probably kind of knew and were just like, let's just let this pan out. Like they could sense.
Everyone except for Carrion. Yeah, Carrion had no idea what the fuck he was getting into, and
Clayman.
No, Clayman is the other guy. Carrion
is the Beast Lord.
No, Carrion is that guy. Oh yeah, Clayman was the shit. Yep, you're right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Carrion's the Beast Lord. I don't know if he knew either, but he was a good guy that they thought.
No,
was
he definitely could tell what's up.
Yeah,
Carrion's smart as fuck.
Yeah.
But no, Clayman. Yeah, that's right. He was a little bitch.
He had no idea.
And he thought he could just fuck with Rimuru. And that's part of the greatness of slime, is like these fucking people think that they can get one up on him. Oh, he's just a lonely slime. Yeah. And the next thing you know, they just get murked. And it sets up circumstances where just like, even though you kind of know it's going to happen, that's not the point. The point is that like it's the way it happens, the delivery, the execution. Yeah. Like
you want to see it. You're craving to see that comeuppance. And then it happens. And he gets away for a little while, but then like once they go to that conference, there's no getting away.
No.
So it's like,
well, he thought he could take him, and that was a bad idea.
He thought not only that, he thought he could convince the others, manipulate them, and meanwhile they're all just like, oh, this is what you think how you're gonna get like power. Like, they were just toying with him, like, but ultimately it was up to Rimuru to take him out.
Yes, exactly.
They had to be too.
Yeah, he took him out, and then what I think is really interesting is like where these clown people playing, because like we think they're just little bitches for a little while, and then at the end you realize like, oh wait, they might be even fucking stronger than like someone we've already established. Really,
like not the actual vampire lord, but the one that was pretending to be,
right.
Who was pretty strong.
That guy was strong. Yeah. That guy was legit.
Yeah, not Luminous herself, but that guy, Valentine or whatever. He was pretty legit, we think, and then she just, the clown person just kills him.
Yeah, obviously he had to be legit to even be deemed worthy enough to pose as a demon lord. Yeah, he obviously was super strong. Yeah, and he got fucked up. And they
also kind of hinted like, oh, Clayman's like the weakest of us, or at least weaker than
Yeah.
So it's like, oh,
he hadn't even gone through the ceremony. He was a little bitch.
Yeah, so it's like there was definitely more. Yeah, there's more to deal with. Obviously the other guy from the other world that Rimuru gives a bunch of manga to thinks is on the side. He's treacherous, obviously.
Yeah, and he's kind of like, wait, is he like Rimuru? He's from Japan. Yes.
I don't think he got reincarnated.
No, not reincarnated. He got summoned as well. I'm pretty sure.
But then again, he may be lying. I'm not
sure.
He
might be. Yeah. But I don't know why he would lie about that. Yeah. But he lies about a lot of things. So then again, who knows?
Oh yeah.
But
he has although it seems like with Rimuru's great sage that evolved into the next form of that.
I wasn't a fucking. I was gonna say Raphael.
Yeah. It seems like Rimuru's kind of like thinking like, someone must have betrayed us, and they're not going to be that blindsided by that.
No, he already figured it out.
Yeah.
He put it together. He was like, you know what? Who could it be? Oh, duh, the only person who knows I'm fucking from Japan.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
Yeah.
You know, but he, you know, so that's going to be a little chess match in itself, probably too.
Mm-hmm. And then obviously we got like the bitch you talked about. I keep calling them bitches. People are gonna hate me.
Wow.
No. But no,
there's the person in Shield Hero deserves to be called that. And
right? Yeah.
But
well, what's
Hinata,
this? Well, she's kind of a bitch. But
she does kind of attack Rimuru.
yes. Okay. So Hinata. Yeah. We'll have to see how she plays in. Obviously, she's
being manipulated. Clearly,
we do know that she's probably stronger than the clown dude because he ran from her. He said fuck that, and then he got interrupted by the dragon dude. Not dragon dude. Jesus Christ, Valentine.
Yeah.
And then he got fucked up. So like we kind of know that she's probably stronger than him, which means
we would think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Why else would he run? Like unless like maybe political reasons, like fucking the church thing, or maybe he was hiding his identity, and then he got maybe it's because when he figured out that Clayman was dead, that he was like, oh, I'm enraged now, I'm gonna just kill this guy. Yeah. That might be what it was. And he might. Okay.
He was hiding his strength,
but he's probably weaker than her. Probably.
As far as we can tell.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to unpack there. Although we're gonna get a movie before the next season.
We talked about it, the Benimaru shit. Yeah,
we did. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be cool. But obviously, once we get back to like fucking manga canon, that's like where the real source material comes, and that'll be great because there's just so much to unpack. There's so many. We haven't gone to the Holy Church yet. They were thinking about Valdora handling that, and then not only that, but remember the demon that Rimuru summoned. What the fuck is his name? The black suit.
Oh yeah.
What the fuck's his name?
It's Dante.
Dante? Might be Dante. I think it starts with a D.
It's something like that.
Something like that. It means like demon in some type of language.
Yeah. He's like like an old, very old
like
demon.
an ancient demon type shit.
Yeah.
He's very fucking strong, and also we don't know quite how strong. Well, we also don't know if he's actually good or if he's actually low-key evil. It's like maybe he's evil, but he still like fucks with Rimuru and respects him, so maybe he won't double cross him. But
he seems to find it to all be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Like, this is a really interesting.
Yeah, he's like, oh, finally a good, interesting demon lord. And like, so.
And everyone seems to take notice of him. Like, oh, he's here.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
It's
and then kind of.
Yeah. Either way, fucking Rimuru's got a stacked roster. He's got the demon. He's got Valdora. He's got Benimaru and Shion and the fucking goblin. No, fuck. What are they? They got not the goblin people, but the other ones. What are they called? They were ogres, and then they got evolved into.
Was that orcs or was that a different?
It wasn't orcs. They got evolved into something.
They did evolve.
I can't remember what they were called. All right, I don't know. Let me search it up.
But yeah, no, he definitely has a whole nation building. He even has other demon lords on his side. You know, the fairy girl, she's on his side.
A Kijin. I never would have got that. Yeah, they go from ogres to Kijin.
Oh, right.
Yes.
Yeah, the Kijin. And now they just got even stronger once Rimuru became a demon lord. But
yes, they're all tied to his power. So the more powerful he gets, the more powerful they get.
You know, Rimuru was just like, Shion, you fuck him up. Clayman got you killed, you fuck him up. And she does. It's only when he super evolves that Rimuru's like
I'm gonna handle this. This is like, you've done enough. Like, it's time for me to prove my point and show how worthy I am. And
exactly.
Yeah, and that the way he fucking whatever. The way he gets done is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
And just no fucking mercy for someone who's just a little bitch.
And we have to find out more about Leon, you know.
Yes.
And also, what's the structure of the church? Because it's the Church of Luminous, but ultimately it just comes back to that demon lord. Like, they were worshiping the demon lord. It was almost like
low key.
So it's like it seemed like maybe they'll come into play, but it seemed like almost it's just a facade. Like, it
could be a facade, or they could not know that it was a demon lord. They could just be completely uneducated.
Clearly don't.
Or maybe they do, but they.
But was some of the scheming within the church, did that have anything to do with Luminous?
Right.
Or were they just doing it? And Luminous was like, oh, whatever. I'll let those idiots do what they do. Like, we don't know any of that yet, or because otherwise Luminous might become a very big enemy. But I suspect. I'm not sure, but I suspect obviously there's going to be a big thing with Leon, even though he came across initially like one of the potential biggest enemies,
Right.
the way he treated, the girl that we were talking about before, that Reamer.
Yeah, but he might
took the form of
not a good way of
someone.
going about it, but it seems like he might have had a good reason where he's like,
He may have, or at
Yeah.
least an intention that is not bad
Yeah.
or good per se. Like
Yeah.
he basically wants to bring one person down. And
Yeah.
it seems to be his sole focus. But he's not super antagonistic. He actually seems more like he's unconcerned with any of that stuff. So
Yep.
rather than being, what was set up to be a main antagonist, he still could be, but he kind of took a different angle towards things than one would expect.
yeah, it wasn't just like, oh, I'm here now. Oh, I'm a team up with Clayman. It wasn't some corny shit.
No.
He's actually very practical and like kind of like
he had
has some,
nothing to do with the claimant stuff. Yeah.
nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
He's not just your corny villain, someone
Yeah.
you could talk to and figure out some shit.
And apparently the other demon lord that created Clayman, that's much stronger than Clayman, but that's only slightly reincarnated. They're not back to their full power.
Yep.
That Leon killed them apparently.
Yeah.
So how strong is Leon? Probably
Yeah,
crazy strong.
but I think he wasn't at full power at that point.
Yeah, they said something or hinted at that.
Yeah, but either way, I mean, like either way, he's still very strong, Leon is. And we'll see how if he becomes a villain, becomes a good guy, becomes somewhere in between.
But that I forget their name, but the demon that's reincarnated, they could be them and the guy look like they're set up to be the main bad guy for now. But that could just be one arc.
Exactly.
For all we know, Baldura could just fuck them all up, and then that's 3 episodes. Oh, new villain. Like, you never know.
And it's like, yeah, exactly. And then, I mean, he fuck up most people. We'll see with Hinata. I mean, she obviously sealed him before. We'll see how that plays out.
That's another thing. Yeah. How strong is she? I feel like she's probably not stronger than Baldura. She just happened to catch him.
She has
in a
good,
seal.
like a good spell type shit. That's what he said. But then again, Valdora does kind of like toot his
Yeah.
own horn, so you never know. So it's like, that,
But,
we'll
but if she's stronger than him, then that would put her like top of the show level strong. Almost.
she probably close. She's probably close.
Could be.
She didn't seem to even have to try that hard to fuck up Rimuru at the time. Not really fuck up, but like Rimuru wasn't gonna be able to beat him with the circumstance with like his magic suppress, all these other things.
Yeah.
So it's like, but yeah, we'll see.
way stronger than he was before.
Oh yeah, Rimuru was stronger now though. I'm talking about when
Yeah.
he battled, where it's like,
Yeah.
well, with hit the suppression and all of these other things. Now, obviously being able to, fight with all his people and all that stuff.
Yeah.
There's all type of factors there, but
Exactly.
we'll just see how it scales. The scaling of fucking slime is very interesting. There's so many different moving factors and like kind of like
it is. And that's
everything's
the thing.
evolving. It's always evolving.
a lot of fun. It's one of the least frustrating anime I've watched. Like, it doesn't use like irritation and cheap tricks and
No, it's
pointless
actually-
tropes to get you to have tension.
No,
It
it's
just
it's
keeps
actually great
evolving.
at teasing at that and then
Yes.
not doing it. It's actually
Exactly.
fantastic at that.
Exactly. So it's like on a surface level, it's just a ton of fun, and there's it's not the most tension based anime, but there are moving parts that create some tension, and then the illusion, and where you're just like, it's like a basic trope. If it's like a memory loss trope, like they're gonna lose because they lost their memory, or like this character is gonna lose their memory and forget what happened, and then they're gonna threaten to lose it, and then or like this character is too strong, but their friend gets kidnapped, and then they're gonna threaten. It's like there's just so many tropes that places use where if you see coming and they do it anyway, it can just get old. Whereas with this show, it's like there's some isekai tropes. But the ones you see coming are the ones you want to see, like a comeuppance, sort of thing. And then the ones you think are going to happen, like, Clayman tricked all the demon lords. No, he didn't. Like, nope, not
Exactly.
Even they don't. They
Like,
just,
yeah, he's got Maleem under control. It's like, no, she's fucking Maleem. Like, you're way out of your league.
Yeah, and it's just like, I thought it'd be fun. Just play
and it was so funny.
It was funny.
It's like, wait, why were you fighting? He's like, whatever, Valdora's like,
my niece.
my niece?
Like
I'm just sparring with my niece. Just having a fucking time.
He just launches a giant beam.
They're just fucking around.
It's just,
And Maleem, while she's not actually controlled, like, threw a strike that could have Rimuru thought like might have been able to kill him. He's like, what the fuck? Now, would really? Who knows? But like, still like believes like, I gotta make it realistic. Like, just fucking around. Like,
it's a lot of fun. It's like it's a comedy, but it's written so well that there's still serious elements and and things that make you want to see something.
Touching moments.
And we don't even know. Like, yes, Shion got resurrected, which is great, but we don't know that no one's gonna die permanently in the future. They very well might. You know,
if we could, I mean, I don't know if a lot of good people will die, but we'll definitely.
I'm down to have them not too. You know,
the cast is so good.
Show has to have all their fucking side characters.
Yeah, that doesn't have to be a plot point where it's like, oh well, now they're dead and now we're all sad. Like, that doesn't have to be a plot point.
You don't want them to all survive on some BS when there's no plot reason.
Right.
But it's like, the resurrection spell. It's like, well, they made a big deal out of it. You know, it took a lot of power to do, and
it's not
within
always,
this world, it's possible. You know, it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't always have to be. Tension can be created a variety of ways. It doesn't have to be character deaths.
No, exactly. And there's can be plenty of factors that draw you in outside of tension.
And they did the character death part for a bit, get you mad. And they, bring her back. And again, she had more development to flesh out.
Oh, definitely. It would have been premature for sure.
Yeah, it would have been. Exactly.
Yeah, so I mean, they did a good job on dishing all of that out. And so it's great, man. It's fucking... It's super interesting.
The last few, I don't even know how many, but whether it started or watched all the way through, the last 20, 30 I've watched, I don't think I've had more fun, watching one than that.
Oh yeah, it's one of the most fun ones.
It's just so.
That's why I could rewatch it, because I'm like, dude, it's just
so easy to rewatch. I could rewatch it right now. Like, it's just so much fun.
Don't dare me! No. It's fucking great, man, and it's
animation's fantastic. By the way.
Yeah,
like
well animated.
We're not talking about a lot
clean
of
art style.
Yeah, we're not talking about a lot of shows so far that have bad animation.
Right.
But this one's like. Yeah, there are a lot of battles, and it is necessary. Like, Alderamin in the Sky has really good animation, surprisingly.
Yeah, well, it's Madhouse. Madhouse is fucking amazing.
Exactly.
One of the best studios.
If they didn't, I think it would be okay. It's not as necessary. There are some battles where you really do want it, but it's like, that's kind of surprising, animation. It's like, well... This better have good animation for what it is, and it does.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes they flex for no reason.
Yeah.
It's like, wow. Like,
everything's clean. Like, it's like the whole fucking anime just feels very alive and very
art
clean.
Style's new. Yeah,
it's very beautiful.
Very good modern anime.
Yeah, it doesn't really get much better. There's a reason why I won some of the awards at fucking the Crunchyroll Awards.
Exactly.
Like, there's a reason for that.
Yeah, they do a good job, and I know it's now a trope of Isekai to make fun of the fact that, like, they do tropes. That's a trope in itself.
Yes.
But, like, they do a good job of, fulfilling the expectations that it should fulfill and subverting the ones that would make it, annoying or feel cheap.
Just like...
it's well written.
Yeah, it's just well written. It really is. It's actually one of the most, like, in a sense, it's slept on how well written it is. Like, a lot of people are like, oh yeah, it's a lot of fun, it's a lot of cool, but like, it's actually super well written, and that should be part of the conversation as well, because like, it's very fluent, very good, and something else that's very well written. In fact, probably the most well written isekai in its own right, in its own way, is Log Horizon, man. And this is another one of those ones where I can't exactly remember what order we watched it or when we watched it.
I can't. That's why it's like, if you told me, oh, this was the first isekai we watched, I'd be like, was it? Oh, okay. I don't even remember.
It's like one of the first,
but
maybe.
I do remember the show, because the show was brilliant. I would probably, if I was doing my rankings, I think I would put it at the top, even if, like, certain ones I was more, like, up, like, animated, like, oh, this is amazing. It's like, I think writing-wise, the animation never gets in the way. It's really fine the whole time.
Yeah, it's pretty good considering they switched studios, like, 3 times.
Yes.
So, like, it's pretty good. It could be better, like, in the second season, certain things, but it's not bad.
I just think the writing is brilliant. I think Shiro, kind of like, if you wanted to be, I guess, absurd, but in a way it kind of blends both of the things we just talked about, where you have a character that's unique in Isekai.
Yeah,
that's a
good fucking point.
Sort of, main character, but then it's also, a world where they're transported to. They actually don't know why. They're all like, it's all a game they've all played.
They're on the server, and then they just get locked in the server.
Because a lot of Isekai coming out, written in the past, coming out nowadays, etc. Just many Isekai. It's one player, two players, they're looking for other players, may or may not ever find anymore. This one, they're all real people.
Over 100,000.
Yeah, they're all real people. They're all transported into the game, so to speak.
It's a lot.
They don't know why. They're trying to, at this point, figure out ways to get out or ways to potentially have others get out. And then what does it mean?
And also trying to adapt while they're there. Because it goes from, this is a game to we have to live here. Like, it's not, we're bored,
that comes before
turn off.
Even getting out. Yeah, they're just like, wait, we appear to be in here.
That's the thing. And then, like, you have someone like Shiro, who's, obviously an expert at the game. He's been in there for a long time. One of the highest levels, if not the highest level.
Multiple characters,
Yeah, he goes crazy. And, he has to basically deal with all these different reactions, which is what would happen in the real world, where it's like some people are like, okay, now I'm gonna just start killing people. Some people, I'm gonna, I don't know, just be depressed. And some people are like, I'm gonna figure this out.
I know it happens in ReZero, but in a lot of these other ones, we don't necessarily see the respawn be used. In this, you can respawn in this game. But, you conceivably lose
real world memories.
Memories of your past.
Of who you are.
And that's a really unique way to...
Consequence.
Yeah, it's a unique way to create tension, to create a consequence to dying that isn't just...
Without just removing a character.
Exactly.
It's like you still get to see them, connect with them, have them grow.
But that also means when they're in a battle with someone, you're not like... They're not killing off the character so they can't lose the battle. Here it's like they could lose the battle.
Yes.
Like because they won't be killed off, but for one, they could lose memory, and two, they could lose a battle, which has other consequences.
Yeah, and what memories are they going to lose? Is it going to be something super important?
Yeah.
Like, how is this going to change them as a person?
Will some people do it
things.
willingly? We saw a little bit
Yeah, a little bit. And then
like,
that dude started going crazy. Yeah. He was really weird. It's like...
And how can that even be a thing? Like, give up real-world memories to... but then to maybe immerse yourself more in the world and the game if you want to. There's a lot of moving parts we're still figuring out.
Yeah, and then how and then when Shiro died for the first time, and Akatsuki died at his little assassin friend died at the same time. And then they met on the moon, and they saw the world from over there.
Yeah.
And then they were talking to each other. That scene was so interesting to me because they were talking to each other as if they didn't know if they were really talking to each other in a way.
Yeah. It's like, am I imagining this because this is what I want to see after I die, or do we just happen to die at the same time? We think it's allowed.
Yeah, and they're like, are we actually going back? Like, are we ready to go back? Okay, I think I'm ready to go back. It was like this weird dichotomy. It was very, very interesting. That whole scene had a very, very strong vibe to it.
And we don't know if
it was so interesting.
We don't actually know the narrative tone it's going to take with that, where if it's going to be like, if you can use your past memories, as sort of, in a sense, a way to gain strength but let them go and just push forward, or if it's going to be like, you shouldn't give up your past just to live in the future. I don't know what narrative tone, which way it's going to go, but there's an interesting potential there that most of this guy there's just not even they don't touch.
We don't know exactly what if these lost memories are powering something or what. There's just so much.
It seems when they first die, it's like, it's an insignificant one, but then how do the mechanics of it work? Do you give up memories? If you give up a bigger one, does it change? Does it just escalate the more you die? Or is the potency of the memory you give up related to anything to do with when you respawn, etc.? We just don't know.
Yeah, there's just so much mystery there. That's so probably...
potential.
Yeah, absolutely. Also just just also how are they gonna go? Well, the biggest thing right now is they're trying to get back to the real world, or Shiro's just trying to create a way for it. Not so much like I don't want to be here, or not everyone wants to be here. More let's just see if we can create a way for us to go there and possibly even come back. Because there's it's one of those things where it's they were talking about it as if, if we leave, they were talking about as if they couldn't go back. It's if you could go back, then would you?
Some would, some maybe, some, and that's another thing. It's once it started occurring to them, then Chiro's okay, well, because he's at his core, he's a problem solver.
Well, he's just the smartest, most analytical person there.
And so he's all right, well, some people are just I just want a way back. Instead of just being too bad. He's let me see, let's put feelers out. Let's try to figure out this world, figure out if there's a way back. That way,
let's break down how this world changed, and then maybe we can figure out how to interact with it in a way to
And
make
then,
us go back and stuff like that.
we don't even know if once they go back, they can then go back into Elder Tales, or if it's permanent. Is it a channel back and forth? Because, and again, what's happening to their real bodies? All of that.
Yeah.
One thing I think that's really interesting is that it's like they are learning to live in the world via real world techniques. Like, for instance, they have menu screens, like other Isekai. But if you select food from menu screens, it works, but you don't taste anything. It's just bland, tasteless
you have to actually make the food in the game.
You make the food in the game using actual techniques and level up your cooking ability.
Yep, that plays a factor.
Yep, but makes it by essentially learning the skill,
really doing it,
then the food has real taste.
Yeah, it tastes good. It doesn't just look good. It tastes good. It's like you're actually eating the real food.
And it starts. That's kind of once they figured that out, because some of the others figured that out earlier than others. Like, they start revving up their own status, their own little, guild, basically, that they form.
Well, people start to form responsibility. They're like, okay, we can taste food, so I guess we're going to have to start having people be cooks and have restaurants.
Yeah,
and it starts to ramp up society.
There's an economy built into the game. It's like, we need to create our own economy, essentially. So let's sell this delicious food to other people. It shows the...
Inspire people.
Exactly, and it shows the political machinations. And he sold those recipes, to merchants that, traded it for even more
because not just they would come, but also NPCs would come to try the food and do all these things too. So it's like now
people of the land.
People of the land. Yes, exactly. So now they're so as they're building their own society, they're trying to find their way to work into the other society around them, which is just the people of the land. Like there's their whole fucking kingdoms out there. Like
I've seen some, and some we just haven't seen enough episodes because enough episodes haven't been released. But they kind of just hint at like, oh, maybe these aren't just, I shouldn't think of them as just NPCs, but that's kind of as far as it goes so far in a lot of shows. With this show, they really start to develop like, oh wait, these people are developing their own, their own personalities, their own lives. There's something different about them than before. They're not locked into patterns, but they were before. They're acting differently, and we do learn, it is, obviously a spoiler, but like Shiro found a way to, if he uses his like scribe skill or whatever to sign someone into the adventurer guild, he can take a person of the land and make them an adventurer.
Yeah, which is crazy.
And originally adventurers are just the people that came from the other world, from the real world. So we have absolutely no idea what the consequences of that will be. Can the people link go to the real world? How would that work?
Yeah, exactly. We don't know how this all plays in, and like, we don't know why these NPCs are coming to life. We don't know if it's some type of AI program that was installed, and like all of these things. So we don't know.
We get the feeling that we're going to find out a lot of it. Like it seems like the writing.
Well, that's part of the like. There's so many layers of lore. There's so many layers of perspective and just mystery, really.
Yeah, and that's the true. There are battles, but it's more of strategy based. And it's
that's the thing. They also break it down like as if it's like a fucking JRPG or whatever it is. And then it's crazy because they like it's tactical. Like, oh, we need this. We need the shield people to do this. We need the mages to be here and do this. Like it's actually like broken down like as if like you were playing one of those games or whatever.
Absolutely. Like so it feels like an MMORPG. But it also, there's certain things they're going to achieve, but it's really unpredictable in the directions it takes. Like the most predictable thing is that it's not especially super tense with some of the problems, because you start to get that feeling. It's like, all right, whatever's going to happen, Shiro's going to already have had the answer. They do a little bit of that where it's like, oh, he already figured it out like off screen basically, but then he explains how.
Yeah, they break it down.
But they still have so many unique tensions they create and so many unique problems they create with the world that you don't know what the solution will even be.
No, absolutely, bro. And I just, not to get, not to be on a side note, but I just remembered, remember that guy's speech?
Oh my god.
Dude.
Oh my god. William, Massachusetts. It's like a meme.
Yeah.
The guy's, that's his name. So they're doing a raid, because raids work kind of like they do in the MMORPGs. and they died a bunch of times. Now, death works a little bit different in raids. You just respawn to the raid point.
Yes.
You don't really die the same way.
Yeah, you don't go back to like the whatever place.
Yeah, exactly. So you can die without the memory loss, I believe.
Yes, I think so.
But either way, they kept losing because there were so many raid things, and they had to adjust their strategy. And they had this guy give this speech to rile up the...
We're losers, but that's okay because we can do this, but we're losers.
And it's a classic, all right.
Dude, it's crazy.
But the thing is, so he keeps going and kind of repeats some lines, but like he keeps going and like talking about how like, I may be the leader of this prominent guild, but like I was just a kid that liked the game.
Yeah.
It hits on some really powerful themes, but also
it's so redundant.
It goes on maybe the whole
almost the whole episode.
And
like,
after a while,
literally like
at first
19 minutes,
we're
probably.
Kind of like, where's the punch? Like, nice.
Yeah, this is gonna be a joke, right? Like you're gonna laugh or something
right.
like.
And then like 5 minutes later, we're like, all right, someone's gonna be like, hey, like we get it, we get it. But it's like it just doesn't stop. It never stops.
And like. Dude, it's almost like, and it's fucking hilarious, but it's also like, is it a joke? Is it serious? What are they doing?
Where's the lines? And just because
I don't know if they're making fun of tropes or like things going on too long, or if it literally was serious. I don't know.
It was like a speech that's like, it's like a speech he would really give because he doesn't know how to give a speech.
Yeah.
So he's trying to speak for the heart, so he repeats himself. But it's like all that roped into one, and you can't figure out what narrative is being portrayed. Like, am I supposed to laugh? Am I supposed to cry? Am I supposed to, it's like you almost feel like, I'm kind of moved, and then he just keeps going, and you're like, well, I was.
Yes.
What's going on here?
Dude, it was fucking hilarious.
That's a whole episode. Oh my god! If you just Google William Massachusetts speech, you'll see.
Yeah, it goes on forever, bro.
Yeah.
It's fucking insane.
It is, but regardless of that odd dynamic, it does eventually get people to be like, we got to do this, and there's, so they fight.
It worked. It fucking worked. The dude talked your ear off forever, but it worked. And
I like how they go overall with that dynamic. Like, there's people of different walks in life. There's a girl that has a kid, and instead of like, her fretting about like what's going on in the real world, she's just like, I can't wait to like go to the outside world and bring my kid into this world and show her it. And that's Kana, right? Or what?
I'm not good. I've too many names in anime.
Yeah.
I've watched too many names.
Yeah. So it's like she's super. She's pretty strong, but she's also like just a super good party member. She's been doing her own thing. But like basically, they're real people. They're people with like all these people. Like, as we've said, in this one, they're all real people that get transported
and then we got the paraplegic kid.
Yeah, that's another thing.
Yeah.
So we get, like, they're not just real people in the sense of, like, they're real people transported from the other world, but they actually take steps to allude to their past life. They don't just say, whatever, that's the past.
Yeah.
This is how they die at the end, which I understand why they do that. But in this show, it's like, no, like, this guy was going to college. And
this kid loved playing soccer, and then he became paralyzed.
Yeah, one of the characters.
Now he can walk in this game, but he can't walk in real life. And
that was really powerful. It's like the kid, like, there's a couple kids they rescue from, like, a shady guild, and they become part of Log Horizon, which is the guild name. And, the male's name, Toya or whatever, he, you find out later he was, like, paralyzed in the real world. He's like a soccer star or whatever. But they, his sister, so to speak, she says kind of like, if we could go back, you basically more or less hinting like you'd want to stay though, right? Like because you
can't walk
paralyzed.
Life,
But he's just like, I could go back. You know, either way, not like I need to, but also, and it was just really powerful. Kind of like, just because I don't have my legs in the other world doesn't mean like I wouldn't love to be in that world too.
Yeah, to see everyone.
And all that. It's showing that
it's like I don't want to be selfish to say I have to stay here. It wasn't like this like weird notion where it's like
even though he can walk and fight and do all this cool stuff. So it's like you see that there's some development there and that he's just a strong person.
Exactly.
understands what's important. It's like, oh yeah, I may not be able to walk in the other world, but I still have things that are important.
Yeah, he isn't just obsessed with Shiro like his sister. Not just kidding. I mean, like his sister.
Yeah,
it's very weird because she's actually young in the real world. So it's like, why is she obsessed with? I mean, like it would happen.
That part
obviously,
is unique, and also
they spent too much time on it for sure. But like but like. It's a realistic thing. Like, obviously, little girls sometimes have crushes on the fucking older dudes or whatever. But, like, it's like, dude, like, bitch, when he said, like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm just not interested in you in that much, like, you gotta just take the fucking hint and just take the L and leave. You're too young. First of all, it'd be weird on his part if he was interested.
It's one of the least harem-centric Isekai, but at the same point, there's one kind of main love interest. And then there's another girl that's really into him and admires him. And, in terms of party structure, in terms of battles, in terms of strategy, and how they evolve throughout the world, it makes sense for a plot point because she admires the hell out of him and she's becoming kind of a version of him.
Yeah. Well, she wants to be like him.
She also is in love with him, which is probably what would actually happen.
Yeah, it would.
But they spent a little bit time of her, the psychology
of it. Like,
she crushes over him, then she gets...
It just makes you feel a little uncomfortable because, like, bitch, you're too young. Like,
and it's the realistic... It's realistic psychology that she would fall for, but it's also like I like the writing for its depth, but also like I didn't need this.
No. It's like, dude, like I get it, but like, Akatsuki and fucking Shiro can be the thing. I love them. They're fucking
like the girl that's like
they're a good duo.
Younger than Akatsuki. It's kind of like. Yeah, they have the tension of her having to accept and him saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, there's someone else." So, nice of him not to demean her. Say, like, "No, you're just a stupid little guy." Right. He's just like, "Oh, no, you're great, but like, there's someone else I care."
Yeah,
blah, blah, blah. Sorry. But like, there are episodes of like her, trying to like get all like jealous, not understanding her emotions.
Which is realistic, but like at the same time,
do a great job.
I'm sure there's some watchers out there that can relate to that type shit, but like I'm sure there's some young girls that are like, oh, I'd be in love with Shiro too, but like, from a dude standpoint. Older male, you're kind of like, all right, bro, like, come on, like, realistically, it's like this could never happen. What are you gonna do? Meet up in the real world at some point, and that's pitiful. And you just,
you start to get like, why is this a plot point? And again, they develop so many characters in such an in-depth way. I just didn't need to see that, but that's the thing.
Not as much. It could exist, but they did a little too much of it.
It should have just been in my opinion, a comedic element that lasted like half an episode.
Yeah, it should have touched on it on a few episodes. Like it's kind of weird.
Yeah, and it like comes back to the forefront.
But then they finally fucking got over that, and they were like, boom, buried the hatchet on that, and now we're moving in the right direction.
But that's the thing. There's multiple things in the show that I'm like what? Like that speech and like that element, and yet it's so unique and so brilliant in the way they develop the psychology of all the characters.
All that. I mean, the political arc was really well done as well.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like, some people are like, oh, the third season, it's all politics. It's like,
well, it's pretty interesting, though.
It is interesting.
It's like the way everything works and how Shiro just learned how to just pull leverage, like, with certain tactics and things. It was really well done, man. It's fucking great. And also the fucking first and second season theme song, Database. I mean, fucking, come on, Database. Like, it's fucking fantastic. It's a great song.
Yeah, I don't know if you can put a clip of it in here. Maybe it'll
probably not.
That's fine. Who cares? You can put a maybe. But up to you. But regardless, that's a great song.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
What's the name of the band? They've done a bunch of anime.
I can just search that real quick. Keep going.
But anyone that has seen the show will instantly know, and some people that haven't have heard it. But
I thought it was Man with a Mission. Yep.
Yeah.
I thought that was what it was, but I didn't want to be wrong because I've been wrong on too many things today.
I just couldn't remember. Is it Man with the Mission, Man on the Mission? I don't know.
I think it's Man with the Mission, but it's good.
Database. Look it up. It's just a fun.
It's kind of like it's almost
so catchy.
What the fuck did I relate it to that one time? I can't remember, but whatever. It's kind of like a Japanese version of something.
I think we've taken a lot of head blows with our memories today.
Dude, well, first of all, it's late. Second of all, Second of all, I have to go to the bathroom, have to pee, and then third of all, I fucking, I've watched a million anime. How am I supposed to remember everything? A million anime, million different artists I listen to. I've been sucked into Elden Ring for a good week now. That's why that's why we took a week off because I've just been playing Elden Ring nonstop, and I can't. Well, probably one of the biggest reasons, honestly. Like when
I definitely played a lot of Elden Ring too, and I have to basically get 10, 15 levels above where you are to do things.
Yeah, right.
I'm not as, at least with the style of character I have, I'm not as good at Souls games. I'm more JRPG.
Dude, I'm actually like
and fighting
pretty
games and
fucking
Madden,
I'm pretty nice even when it comes
nice.
to like pro people, like they struggle more. Well, not like the pros, but like the pro gamers that aren't